The great hall of the Solaris starship was filled with light. High ceilings arched above the crowd, glowing with gentle blue patterns that shifted like waves. Delegates from many worlds stood in careful lines, their voices low, their eyes curious. This was no ordinary gathering. It was the first time humans had been invited to the Solari Council, and the room seemed to hold its breath for the moment of arrival. Aaron walked at the back of the human group. His boots clicked softly against the polished floor as he followed the senior diplomats. He was not an ambassador, not even a soldier. He had been chosen as a cultural observer, someone who could watch quietly and learn. Aaron had grown up in the colonies on the outer rim of human space. For him, this was not just a mission, it was a chance to see the heart of the galaxy, the place where legends lived. The Solari were taller than humans, their forms elegant, their movements calm. Their skin carried faint silver tones that caught the light. Every step they took seemed practiced, as if grace itself was part of their bloodline. Aaron could not help but feel small in their presence. Yet, among all the strange and distant faces, one figure drew his attention more than any other. She stood at the center of the gathering, wearing a flowing garment of deep violet that shimmered like starlight. A crown rested lightly upon her head, woven with glowing crystals that pulsed with soft energy. Her eyes were large and bright, filled with a depth that unsettled him. She was Princess Lyra, the daughter of the Solari sovereign. The human delegation reached the center platform. The Solari counselor stepped forward to speak, his voice calm but commanding. "We welcome the children of Earth to our council. May this meeting strengthen bonds across the stars." Polite words followed, a careful exchange of greetings. Aaron listened but did not join. His role was not to speak. His role was to observe. Yet, even as the speeches continued, his gaze drifted again toward the princess. For a moment, she was looking elsewhere, her posture flawless, her expression calm. But then her eyes shifted. They met his. It was only a second, a simple meeting of glances across the hall. Yet, in that instant, everything changed. Her eyes widened. Her lips parted slightly, as if she had seen something she could not explain. And then, before the silent crowd, tears began to form at the corners of her eyes. One drop fell, sliding down her cheek. The hall grew still. The Solari did not cry in public. Their people were known for their calm composure, their unshaken dignity. To see their princess in tears was unthinkable. Aaron froze where he stood. His heart pounded, though he did not know why. He had done nothing, said nothing. All he had done was look at her. Yet, she wept. The counselors exchanged glances. A low murmur rippled through the alien crowd. Some whispered words he could not understand. Others looked at him with suspicion. The senior human ambassador, a gray-haired man named Relin, stiffened at Aaron's side. His voice was sharp but controlled. "What has happened here?" No one answered. The Solari delegates avoided his gaze. They looked instead toward their princess, who now stood trembling, her hand pressed lightly against her chest. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was soft, but it carried across the hall. "His eyes. I saw his eyes." Confusion deepened. Some Solari gasped quietly. The counselor nearest her stepped forward, his tone urgent. "Princess, you must explain. What did you see?" She shook her head, as if words failed her. Another tear slipped free, shining in the hall's soft light. Aaron's thoughts raced. He had never met her, never spoken to her. Why would his gaze cause such a reaction? He felt the weight of the entire hall pressing down upon him, as if every alien present expected him to answer for something he did not understand. The ambassador placed a hand on Aaron's arm, urging him back. But it was too late. The silence of the hall had already marked him. The Solari counselor turned toward the humans. His voice was calm, but a sharpness lingered beneath it. We must adjourn this gathering. The matter is delicate. The human delegation was guided out of the chamber. Aaron kept his head low, though he could feel the eyes of 100 aliens fixed on him. The walkout seemed endless. When the great doors closed behind them, the silence of the empty corridor felt heavier than the noise of the hall. Ambassador Relin turned to Aaron, his expression tense. "What did you do?" Aaron shook his head quickly. "Nothing. I swear, nothing. I only looked at her." The ambassador studied him with doubt, then sighed. "Whatever it was, it has stirred something dangerous. We will need answers, and we will need them soon." As the humans were escorted back to their quarters, Aaron could not shake the image from his mind. The princess's eyes meeting his. The sudden tears. The way the entire hall had fallen into silence. He did not understand what it meant. He did not know why his presence alone had caused such a reaction. But deep inside, a strange unease began to grow. Something had started in that hall, something larger than diplomacy, larger than any mission. The human delegation returned to their quarters, but the air in the room was heavy with silence. No one spoke at first. The ambassadors and officers sat around a long table, their eyes fixed on Aaron. He felt the weight of their stares pressing down on him. Ambassador Relin finally broke the silence. "What happened in that hall cannot be ignored. The princess cried when she looked at you. The Solari are shaken, and so is the council. Do you have any explanation, Aaron?" Aaron spread his hands helplessly. "I do not. I only looked at her. Nothing more." The others exchanged glances. Some looked doubtful, others uneasy. For them, this mission was meant to build trust, not stir mysteries. A younger officer, Myra, leaned forward. "The Solari are not known for sudden emotion. They are disciplined, trained since childhood. If the princess cried, it was not simple chance. Something happened between you and her." Aaron frowned. "I did nothing. But, when our eyes met, it felt strange. Like something heavy passed between us. I cannot explain it." The ambassador sighed. Strange or not, the Solari saw it as a sign. "We must prepare for questions. We must tread carefully. Humanity's reputation may depend on this." That night, Aaron could not sleep. He lay awake in the small chamber assigned to him, staring at the ceiling lights. His mind replayed the moment over and over: the hall, the silence, the princess's tears. Why would his eyes cause her to weep? What secret did she see in him? The next morning, the Solari sent a messenger to the human delegation. The council had ordered a pause in the talks. They wished to investigate what had occurred. The humans were confined to their quarters, watched by silent Solari guards. Time passed slowly, and the air grew tense. Every step Aaron took felt like it echoed louder than it should, every glance he gave seemed to carry weight. By the third day, a new visitor arrived. The doors opened, and Princess Lyra herself entered the chamber. She was not surrounded by guards, only a single attendant who waited by the door. Her eyes, still bright but calmer now, turned toward Aaron at once. The ambassador rose quickly. "Princess Lyra, we are honored by your presence." "We did not expect." She raised her hand gently. "I did not come to speak with you, ambassador. I came to speak with him." Her gaze rested firmly on Aaron. The room grew silent. No one dared interrupt. The ambassador gave a small nod, and the others stepped back. Aaron stood awkwardly, uncertain what to do. "Princess," he said carefully, bowing his head. She stepped closer, her movements graceful. For a moment she studied him as if searching for proof of something unseen. Then she spoke softly. "When I looked into your eyes, I saw what I was never meant to see. The legends were true." Aaron blinked in confusion. "Legends? What legends?" She glanced toward the others in the room, then lowered her voice. The Solari keep old records, guarded in the royal archives. They tell of a race called the Wanderers. A people who appeared among the stars long ago, then vanished without reason. It is said that if the eyes of a royal Solari ever meet the eyes of a true wanderer, hidden truths would awaken. Aaron shook his head. But I am not a wanderer. I am human. I come from the colonies of Earth. I am nobody important. Her eyes softened. That is what you believe. But when I saw you, I felt the same spark described in the archives. A fire that should not exist, yet it burns in you. The tears I shed were not of sorrow alone. They were of recognition. The words sent a shiver through him. Recognition. He had never left his people, never known anything beyond the human frontier. How could he be tied to some ancient legend? The ambassador stepped forward, his tone cautious. Princess, with respect, humanity has no record of this legend. We have no knowledge of the Wanderers. Lyra looked at him firmly. That is because your history was broken. You believe yourselves young among the stars, but there are traces that say otherwise. My people buried these truths to protect them. We never thought we would see your kind again. Aaron's chest tightened. If what you say is true, then why do the Solari fear me? Why did the council look at me with suspicion? Her eyes lowered for the first time. Because if the prophecy of the Wanderers is real, then it means change. The Solari do not welcome change. They fear it. They fear what humans may become. The words hung in the air, heavy and sharp. Aaron felt the weight of them sink into him. He was not ready for such responsibility. He had come here only to observe, to watch silently. Yet now the fate of legends had been placed on his shoulders. The princess straightened, her voice quiet but firm. You must be careful, Aaron of Earth. The council will not accept this easily. They will question you, test you, perhaps even try to remove you. But I saw what I saw. You are not only human. You are a sign that the galaxy has waited for. Aaron opened his mouth to answer, but no words came. His thoughts tangled with doubt, fear, and a strange spark of something deeper, hope, perhaps, or destiny. Lyra stepped back toward the door. I should not remain longer. Already I have risked too much by coming here. But remember this, your presence has meaning. Do not run from it. With that, she turned and left, her violet robe flowing like a river of stars. The door closed behind her, leaving the room silent once more. The ambassadors and officers stared at Aaron, their faces pale with shock. Myra was the first to speak. If she is telling the truth, then humanity's past is not what we thought. And our future may not be in our hands alone. Aaron sat slowly, his legs heavy. His mind was a storm of questions. What were the Wanderers? Why did the Solari fear them? And why, of all people, had the princess seen that spark in him? For the first time, he realized this mission was no longer about diplomacy. It was about something far greater. The next days moved slowly, yet each moment carried a hidden weight. Aaron could feel it in the way the Solari guards watched him more closely than the others, in the way whispers followed whenever he passed through the corridors. The council had not spoken again with the human delegation, but their silence was not peace, it was suspicion. At night, Aaron sat in his quarters, staring at the stars outside the window. The galaxy felt endless, but instead of filling him with wonder, it pressed on him like a burden. The words of Princess Lyra echoed in his thoughts again and again. You are not only human. You are a sign that the galaxy has waited for. He had never asked for such a role. He was no leader, no warrior. He had joined this mission as an observer, someone meant to stand in the background. Yet fate had dragged him into the center, and now the gaze of an entire civilization rested on him. On the fourth evening, when the corridors were quiet and the lights dimmed, his door slid open without warning. He turned quickly, expecting a guard. Instead, Princess Lyra stepped inside. She wore no crown, no royal jewels, only a simple cloak of pale silver that shimmered faintly in the light. Aaron rose to his feet at once. "Princess, what are you doing here? If anyone sees," she lifted a hand. "Do not fear. My attendant waits outside. No one else knows I am here." Her voice was calm but carried an urgency beneath it. Aaron frowned. If the council finds out, they will not forgive this. Why risk it? Her eyes softened. Because you must know the truth. If I remain silent, you will walk blind into dangers you cannot escape. She moved further into the room, her steps graceful yet firm. Aaron felt his heart race. There was something different about her tonight. The calm mask she wore in public had fallen away, and in its place was a young woman carrying the weight of secrets too heavy to bear alone. She stopped before him. "What I told you before was not the whole truth. The archives hold more than legends. They hold records, real accounts of humans who walked among the stars long before your histories began." Aaron's breath caught. Records? But our own history says humanity reached the stars only in the last few centuries. Are you saying we were here before? Lyra nodded slowly. Yes. The Solari encountered your kind thousands of years ago. They were explorers, bold and untamed, just as you are now. But then, without reason, they vanished. Some say they returned to a distant home world. Others whisper they chose to hide themselves. Whatever the cause, they left no trace, except in the memories of those who saw them. Aaron shook his head. That cannot be. If my people had such a past, we would remember it. Her eyes met his firmly. Would you? If those who returned wished their children to forget? If they wished to start again, unburdened by the dangers they faced among the stars? Memory can be erased. Records can be destroyed. But the spark, the essence of what they were, cannot be removed. It passes on. Aaron felt a chill spread through him. And you believe that spark is in me? I do not believe, she whispered. I know. When I looked into your eyes, I saw the fire of the wanderers. It is the same fire my ancestors recorded. That is why I cried. I saw proof of what my people tried so hard to bury. Aaron turned away, pacing the room. His thoughts tangled in confusion. If this is true, then why hide it? Why not tell the galaxy the truth? Her expression darkened. Because the truth frightens them. The Solari have built their power on order, on control, on the belief that every species must remain within its place. But the Wanderers, your ancestors, were different. They could not be controlled. They followed no order but their own. To my people, that spirit is dangerous. That is why they erased it. That is why they fear you now. Aaron stopped pacing. His voice grew sharper. So this is why the council looks at me like a threat? Because of a story in your archives. It is more than a story, she said. It is a warning. The records say the return of the Wanderers would bring both hope and upheaval. Change always carries both. The council fears the upheaval. But she paused, her eyes softening again. I see the hope. For a moment, silence filled the room. The soft hum of the ship's systems was the only sound. Aaron studied her, unsure of what to say. She stood before him not as a distant royal, but as someone who carried a truth she could share with no one else. He could see the struggle in her, the weight of loyalty to her people fighting against the duty to reveal what she knew. Finally, he spoke quietly. If what you say is true, then I do not know what I am meant to do. I am just one man. I cannot carry the fate of legends. Her lips curved into a faint, sad smile. The Wanderers never sought their destiny either. They simply lived, and the galaxy changed around them. Perhaps that is all you must do. Aaron lowered his eyes. and if the council decides I am too dangerous. Her voice grew steady. Then I will stand with you. He looked up, surprised. You would defy your people? For me. For truth, she corrected. And for what must come. Their eyes held each other in silence. In that moment, Aaron felt both the fear of what lay ahead and the strange comfort of not being alone. Whatever path awaited, the princess had chosen to share it with him, even against her own people. The door suddenly signaled a soft chime. Her attendant's voice came through, low and urgent. Princess, the guards are near. We must go. Lyra gave a final glance to Aaron. Remember this, Aaron of Earth. Secrets cannot stay buried forever. When the council moves against you and they will, you must be ready. Before he could answer, she turned and left, her silver cloak vanishing through the door. The room grew quiet once more, leaving Aaron standing alone with his racing thoughts. He sat slowly on the edge of his bed, his hands pressed against his face. The princess's words echoed like a storm in his mind. The spark cannot be removed. It passes on. He did not know what it meant for him, for humanity, or for the galaxy. But he knew one thing for certain: life would never return to what it was before. The Scifi starship glided through the endless dark, silent and graceful as a bird in flight. Yet inside its shining halls, silence was not peace. Whispers moved like shadows through the council chambers. Everywhere Aaron went, eyes followed him. Some were curious, some hostile, and none were welcoming. The humans remained in their quarters most of the time, waiting for word of the next diplomatic session. But that word never came. Instead, they received orders that discussions were postponed until the council completed a private investigation. The meaning was clear: they were being judged, and at the center of it all stood Aaron. Ambassador Relin kept his calm, but Aaron could see the worry behind his eyes. Every day he reminded the humans to act with caution, to avoid drawing more attention. Yet no matter how careful Aaron tried to be, the stares and whispers did not stop. He was already marked. One evening, Myra returned from the observation deck where she had spoken with a Scifi officer. She entered the human quarters quickly, her face pale. The council has split, she said. Some believe you are harmless, Aaron. Others believe you are the beginning of something dangerous. They are already debating whether to send us home or to keep you here. Aaron stiffened. Keep me here? Against my will. She nodded grimly. They may claim it is for study or diplomacy. But the truth is, they fear what you represent. The ambassador frowned deeply. This cannot continue. If the Scifi refuse honest talks, we will have to contact Earth and request immediate withdrawal. But even as he spoke, the door to their chamber opened. Two Scifi guards stepped inside, followed by Counselor Vyar, a tall and stern figure whose silver-marked skin seemed harder than steel. His voice cut through the room like a blade. You will not leave until the council decides. And you, human called Aaron, must come with me. The humans bristled at his tone, but the guards' weapons left no choice. Aaron followed, though unease twisted in his chest. The counselor led him through long corridors until they reached a private chamber. There, waiting in silence, stood Princess Lyra. Her eyes met Aaron's with quiet strength, but Vyar's voice broke the moment. Princess, you must see reason. This human is no guest. He is a danger. Already, your tears in the hall have spread doubt among our people. Some whisper that prophecy stirs again. If that is true, then this is no time for compassion. Lyra lifted her chin. And if the prophecy speaks truth, then is it not time to listen? Would you bury the future as you buried the past? Vyar's eyes narrowed. The past was buried for good reason. The wanderers brought only chaos. Their spark could not be guided, their will could not be controlled. If humans truly descend from them, then they must be watched if not restrained. Aaron felt anger rise in him, but he forced himself to speak calmly. I have done nothing to harm you. I came here to observe, to learn. If my presence troubles you, it is not because of my actions, but because of your fear. The counselor's gaze hardened. Your words prove my point. The wanderers spoke with the same fire, the same defiance. It is dangerous. Lyra stepped forward, her voice firm. It is not dangerous, it is alive. Can you not see the difference? We are not meant to hide from life. We are meant to face it. The two Solari locked eyes, the weight of centuries of tradition pressing between them. At last, Vyar turned sharply. You defy your council and your people, princess. Be careful. Your words may cost you more than you know. With that, he swept from the chamber, leaving Aaron and Lyra alone. For a long moment, neither spoke. The silence was heavy with what had just passed. Finally, Aaron said quietly, he would rather cage me than face the truth. Lyra looked at him with sadness. He fears that truth will tear the Solari apart. To many of them, order is life itself. And you are the spark that threatens to break that order. Aaron shook his head. I never asked for this. I do not want to be a symbol. I only wanted to see the stars. She stepped closer, her voice gentle. And yet, symbols are not chosen. They are found. The galaxy does not wait for permission to change, it simply changes. That is what frightens them. Aaron looked into her eyes and saw no fear, only resolve. And you? Do you fear me? Her lips curved into a faint smile. I fear what may come, yes. But I do not fear you. When I saw you, I saw more than prophecy. I saw choice. You may become what the legends feared or what they hoped. That is for you to decide. The words settled in his heart like a weight and a flame at the same time. He wanted to deny them, to step away from the path unfolding before him. But part of him, deep inside, knew she was right. The choice was his, and it would matter. Before he could answer, the door opened again. Myra entered, her expression tense. Aaron, we must return. The others are worried. She hesitated, glancing at Lyra, then added softly, and the guards are restless. Aaron nodded, but before leaving, he turned once more to the princess. If the council moves against me, will you still stand by what you said? Her eyes held his steadily. Yes. Even if I stand alone. As Aaron walked back with Myra, his mind burned with thoughts. The Solari Council was divided. The princess believed in him, but powerful voices like Vyar's wanted him silenced. The humans were caught in the middle, their mission crumbling under the weight of ancient fears. That night, Aaron stood again at his window, watching the stars. But this time, he no longer felt like an observer. He felt like a piece of the storm gathering in the galaxy. The silence of space was only the calm before something greater, something fierce. The days after Counselor Vyar's warning felt heavier than before. Every corner of the Solari starship seemed filled with quiet judgment. Whenever Aaron walked through the corridors, Solari eyes followed him, some filled with caution, others with suspicion. Even the human delegation began to grow restless. They had come for diplomacy, yet now their mission had turned into a silent standoff. Aaron tried to keep to himself. He read the reports given to him, walked the halls only when necessary, and spoke little. But inside, his thoughts refused to rest. Princess Lyra's words circled in his mind like fireflies in the dark. I saw more than prophecy. I saw choice. What choice? He was no leader, no prophet. He was just a man from the colonies who had never expected to stand before alien councils or carry the weight of ancient legends. And yet, here he was. One evening, as the human delegation gathered in their quarters, the door opened once more. This time, it was not guards or counselors who entered, it was Princess Lyra. She wore a simple robe, unmarked by royal symbols, but her presence still filled the room with quiet gravity. The ambassadors stood quickly, unsure whether to bow or to protest her sudden arrival. But Lyra raised her hand. "Please. I come not as a princess, but as one who carries knowledge that must be spoken." Her eyes turned to Aaron at once, and the room fell silent. Aaron rose, his chest tight. "You should not be here." "If the council learns, they will learn soon enough," she interrupted gently. "But you deserve to hear the truth from me first." The ambassadors exchanged uncertain looks, but none dared to stop her. Even they seemed to sense that what she carried could not be silenced. She stepped closer, her voice soft but steady. "You asked me once why I cried when our eyes met. You deserve an answer." Aaron's heart pounded. "Yes. Why? What did you see in me?" Her gaze did not waver. "I saw both hope and sorrow. I saw a fire that does not die, even when pressed under the weight of fear. The same fire that once lived in the Wanderers. When I looked into your eyes, I knew your kind had returned. And with it, the future I was taught to fear." The words hung in the air like a blade. The human delegates shifted uneasily, but Lyra pressed on. "My people taught me the prophecy of the Wanderers when I was a child. It said that if they returned, the galaxy would tremble. Some would rise, others would fall. It would not be a time of peace, but of change. I was told to dread that day. But when I saw you, I could not dread it. I wept because I saw more than fear. I saw the chance for something greater." Aaron swallowed hard. "You saw all that, in me?" "In your eyes," she whispered. "It was not just you, Aaron. It was what you carried. Humanity's spark, humanity's spirit. The Solari do not understand it, but I saw it clearly. You are not bound by fear the way we are. You move with instinct, with courage, even when the path is unknown. That is why you frighten them. That is why you moved me to tears." The room was silent. Even the ambassadors seemed unsure how to respond. At last, Ambassador Relan spoke, his voice heavy. "Princess, what you say, it changes everything. If humanity carries this so-called spark, then the Solari Council must recognize it." Lyra's eyes hardened. "They will not. Not yet. To them, change is danger. They will do everything to deny it. But denial cannot last forever." Aaron sat slowly, his mind struggling to hold the weight of her words. "You saw hope in me. But you also said you saw sorrow. What did you mean?" Her expression softened, and for the first time, a shadow of sadness touched her face. "I saw a path of struggle. Humanity will not rise easily. Your spark will draw conflict, as it has always done. You will be tested. And many will suffer before your place among the stars is made clear." Aaron felt his stomach tighten. "So we are destined to bring hardship." She shook her head firmly. "Not destined. Chosen. The difference matters. The sorrow I saw is not fate, it is the price of forging a new path. Hope does not come without cost." Her words struck deep. For so long, Aaron had thought of humanity as small compared to the great empires of the galaxy. But now he saw it differently. Perhaps humanity was not weak, they were simply unshaped, still raw, still climbing. And that climb itself was what frightened the others. Lyra reached for his hand. The gesture was small, but it made the room grow even more still. "Do not fear what you carry, Aaron. Fear only the choice to hide from it. You asked me why I cried. I cried because I saw what you could become. And because I knew you were not ready for it." Their eyes locked, and Aaron felt a storm inside him. He wanted to deny it, to step away from the weight she placed on him. Yet a part of him, deep inside, felt the truth of her words. He was not ready. But readiness did not matter anymore. The moment had already come. The ambassadors cleared their throats softly, uncomfortable at the intimacy of the moment, but none dared to interrupt. Finally, Aaron spoke. His voice was low, but steady. If what you say is true, then I cannot run. But I do not know how to lead, or how to carry this spark. What if I fail? Lyra's hand tightened around his. Then you will fail trying. And that is enough. Because humans do not rise by perfection. They rise by standing again, no matter how many times they fall. That is what the galaxy has forgotten. That is what you must remind them. For a long moment, the room was silent, filled only by the faint hum of the starship. Then Myra, who had been silent until now, spoke softly. She is right. That spark. I have seen it in our people. We may stumble, but we always rise again. Maybe that is what makes us different. Ambassador Relin exhaled slowly, as if releasing a burden. Then perhaps our task is not to convince the Solari Council with words, but with proof. They will not believe until they see. Lyra released Aaron's hand, but her eyes stayed on him. And they will see. The test will come sooner than you think. She turned then, moving toward the door, her silver robe flowing around her. Before leaving, she paused and looked back once more. Remember, Aaron. The tears I shed were not of fear alone. They were the beginning of faith. Do not let that faith be wasted. And with that, she was gone, leaving Aaron and the humans in silence. Aaron sat back slowly, his mind a storm. Hope and sorrow. Fire and choice. He did not feel ready, but he understood now why she had wept. Her answer had not been simple words. It was a mirror, showing him both the burden and the light he carried. The Solari Council chamber was vast, with high walls of crystal that glowed faintly in shifting colors. Delegates from different alien houses filled the rows of seats, their voices a low murmur that echoed across the chamber. The air was thick with tension, as if the entire galaxy held its breath. At the center stood Aaron, the human who had been brought into the stage without choice. The human delegation sat nearby, their faces pale but steady. Princess Lyra stood not far from him, her silver robes gleaming under the soft lights. She had risked everything to speak the truth to him, and now that truth was about to be tested. The council doors closed with a heavy sound, and silence followed. The Solari High Speaker, an elder with a sharp voice, rose from his seat. The council calls this meeting to order. Humanity has been accused of carrying the spark of the Wanderers. A matter of grave importance. Today, the truth will be revealed, and judgment will be passed. The chamber filled with whispers. The Wanderers were a myth to many, a story told in shadowed halls. But now the story seemed alive again, and it frightened them. Aaron's heart raced, but he stood tall. He remembered Lyra's words. Do not fear what you carry. Fear only the choice to hide from it. The High Speaker turned his gaze to Aaron. Human, step forward. Tell this council why we should not see your people as a danger to the galaxy. Aaron hesitated, his mouth dry. He had no speeches, no training in diplomacy. But he had his voice, and the truth it carried. He stepped forward, his voice steady but raw. We came here not to bring danger, but to seek friendship. Humanity is young among the stars, yes. We do not have your wisdom or your strength. But we carry something else. We rise when we fall. We keep moving forward, even when no one believes in us. That is our way. That is the spark you fear. The chamber grew quiet, all eyes fixed on him. A Solari counselor rose, her eyes sharp with doubt. And what of the prophecy? The Wanderers brought fire and war. Do you deny this spark will bring the same? Aaron shook his head. I do not deny it will bring struggle. But struggle does not mean ruin. Struggle is the path to growth. Humanity has always walked through storms, and each time we learned, Each time we grew stronger. If the spark is fire, then it is also light. It can destroy, yes, but it can also guide. The counselor narrowed her eyes but did not answer. Another delegate, a scaled being from a distant allied race, stood. His voice was slow and careful. Your words sound noble, human. But words are not enough. The Solari demand proof. What can your kind do that others cannot? Aaron felt his chest tighten. Proof. They wanted proof. He had no armies, no great technology to display. But he remembered Lyra's words, they will not believe until they see. He turned to the human delegation. Ambassador Relin. Myra. Stand with me. They rose at once, joining him in the center of the chamber. Their presence was simple, unadorned. No armor, no symbols of power. Just three humans, standing together. Aaron lifted his voice so all could hear. You ask what makes us different. It is not strength of arms or wealth of stars. It is this. We stand together, even when afraid. We face what is greater than us, even when we should run. That is humanity. Not one of us, but all of us. He looked at Myra, whose eyes burned with quiet fire. This spark is not mine alone. It is in every human. In the farmer who keeps working through hunger. In the child who dares to dream beyond the sky. In the builder who creates when there is nothing but dust. That is our proof. We do not stop. The chamber stirred. Some delegates murmured in doubt, others in thought. The high speaker leaned forward. You claim resilience. But resilience alone does not change fate. Show us, human. Show us now. The demand struck like thunder. For a moment, Aaron stood frozen. How could he show resilience here, in this grand hall of power? Then Princess Lyra stepped forward. Allow me. Gasps spread through the chamber as she stood beside Aaron. The council had not given her leave to speak, yet her presence commanded silence. She raised her voice, clear and unwavering. I have seen the spark in him. I have seen it in his people. You wish for proof, yet proof does not come from words or from show of force. Proof comes when the storm arrives. And the storm is near. Her words rippled like a wave. The chamber erupted in whispers. Aaron turned to her in shock. What storm? She met his eyes, calm but grave. The Solari know of it, but they deny it. A shadow moves among the stars. Raiders from beyond the rim, stronger than before. They test the borders of Solari space. The council hides this truth, but I have seen the reports. The storm comes, and it will not wait for judgment. The high speaker's face hardened, but he did not deny her words. That silence was enough to confirm the truth. Aaron felt the weight of the moment press down on him. Then let us face it. Let humanity stand with the Solari. Let us fight, not as wanderers, but as allies. That is our proof. Not in words, but in action. The chamber roared with voices. Some shouted in agreement, others in fear. The council struggled to restore order, but the fire had already been lit. For the first time, humans were no longer seen as strangers, they were seen as a force, a spark that could not be ignored. When the council finally called for silence, the high speaker's voice was cold but shaken. We will not decide today. The matter will rest until the storm arrives. If humanity proves itself in battle, then your claim will be weighed. Until then, you remain under our watch. The gavel struck, and the meeting ended. As the delegates departed, Aaron stood still, his chest heaving. He had not known what he would say, but he had spoken from truth. And for the first time, he saw a glimmer of respect in the eyes of those who had doubted him. Lyra stood beside him, her voice quiet. You have done what no human has done before. You have made them listen. Aaron looked at her, still unsure of his place in this vast story. They listened, yes. But will they believe? She smiled faintly, though sadness touched her eyes. Belief comes not with words, but with fire. And that fire is coming. Aaron's heart pounded, but he nodded. The storm was near. Humanity's trial was no longer a distant prophecy, it was about to begin. The warning came sooner than anyone expected. Solari scouts rushed back to the council with desperate reports. A vast fleet was moving toward the inner systems, a fleet larger than any known raider force. Their ships were black and jagged, like shadows made into metal, and they advanced without fear. Panic swept across the Solari worlds. The council that once doubted now faced a truth they could not deny. The storm was here. In the great hangar of the Solari defense fleet, soldiers and pilots prepared for battle. Among them stood humans, small in number but determined. Their ships were older, slower, but their spirits burned bright. Aaron stood at the front with Princess Lyra at his side, both watching as the fleets gathered. The Solari commander approached them. His eyes, once filled with suspicion, now carried something else, respect mixed with desperation. Human, you spoke of proof. The storm is here. Let us see if your spark can stand against it. Aaron met his gaze. We will not run. Humanity stands with you. Lyra's voice was steady. And I stand with them. The commander gave a short nod. Then may the stars protect us all. The battle began at the edge of the system. Solari warships formed their shining lines, their hulls glowing with energy shields. The human ships moved among them, smaller but swift, their crews ready for whatever came. The raider fleet arrived like a tidal wave. Thousands of dark ships poured into the system, their weapons blazing. The first clash shook the stars. Explosions lit the void, turning the battlefield into a storm of fire and metal. Aaron's ship trembled as he took the pilot's seat. Myra was beside him, working the controls, her hands fast but calm. They are trying to break the center line, she said. Aaron tightened his grip. Then we hold it? No matter what. Human ships darted into the thick of battle, weaving through enemy fire. They lacked the power of Solari vessels, but they used every trick, every ounce of courage. Where one ship fell, another moved in. They refused to give ground. The Solari saw this. For the first time, they witnessed the true spark of humanity. It was not strength of weapons or numbers. It was the will to fight on, even when the night seemed endless. But the raiders were not ordinary enemies. Their leader's ship, a massive black vessel, cut through the Solari lines. Its weapons tore through shields with ease, and its dark presence spread fear among even the bravest fighters. Aaron saw it on the scanner. His chest tightened. That's the heart of them. If we don't stop it, the line will break. Myra's eyes burned. Then we go for it? The human fleet heard his call. Dozens of small ships turned toward the massive enemy vessel. Against all reason, they charged. The Solari commander's voice rang through the channel. Humans, fall back. You cannot face that ship. But Aaron's answer was firm. We are not falling back. Not today. The battle around the great ship was chaos. Human vessels swarmed it, diving past its guns, striking with missiles and lasers. They were tiny against its hull, like sparks against a mountain. But sparks can spread fire. One by one, human ships sacrificed themselves to open paths. They targeted weak points, striking again and again. For every ship lost, the others pressed harder. Aaron's ship slipped past a barrage of fire, shaking under the force. Myra shouted over the alarms. Shields failing. Hull is cracked. Aaron kept his eyes forward. Hold steady. Just a little closer. The enemy vessel loomed before them, its black surface glowing with energy lines. At its center pulsed a core of dark light, the heart of its power. Lyra's voice came over the comms, calm but full of emotion. Aaron, if you strike that core, you may not survive. Aaron answered without hesitation. Then let it be. Humanity stands today, no matter the cost. The final charge began. Aaron pushed the engines beyond limit. The ship screamed, metal burning from the strain. Enemy fire tore around them, but Myra held the controls firm, guiding their path. Other human ships cleared the way, drawing fire, giving their last strength. The Solari watched in awe as humanity did what no one else dared: face the storm head-on. Aaron's ship reached the core. The alarms howled, the hull broke apart, but he did not falter. With one last strike, he fired all weapons into the heart of the enemy vessel. The explosion was like a second sun. Light filled the void, a wave of fire spreading across the raider fleet. The massive vessel cracked, split, and shattered into pieces. The raider ships faltered, their formation broken, their courage gone. The Solari fleets pressed the attack, driving them back, scattering them into the darkness. The storm was broken. When the fire cleared, silence fell over the battlefield. Human ships were few, many lost in the sacrifice. Aaron's ship floated among the wreckage, its hull torn, its systems failing. Lyra's voice called out on the channel. Aaron, answer me. Please. Static filled the comms. Then, at last, his voice came, weak but alive. Still here, still standing. Relief swept through every human and Solari who heard it. The spark had not been extinguished. Days later, the council gathered again. This time, no one doubted. The Solari High Speaker rose, his voice solemn. Humanity has shown what we could not see. The spark they carry is not destruction, but hope. They stood when no one else dared. They faced the storm, and they did not break. From this day, humanity is no longer a stranger. They are our allies. The chamber filled with applause, voices of races once divided now joined in recognition. Aaron stood beside Lyra, his body weary but his spirit strong. She looked at him with tears in her eyes, not of sorrow but of pride. When I first met you, I feared the spark would bring only ruin. But now I see. It brings light. Aaron gave a faint smile. Not just mine. It belongs to all of us. The council's decision was clear. Humanity had claimed its place among the stars. Not as wanderers of doom, but as bearers of fire and light.